Welcome back to the channel, everyone. If you love captivating stories about men transforming into women in unique and fascinating ways, then be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's jump right into today's tale.
Hannah drifted back to consciousness like a hungover butterfly, her mind swimming through a fog of confusion. The bed felt different, softer, somehow, like sleeping on a cloud instead of her usual mattress that had all the comfort of a slab of concrete. She stretched languorously, her body moving in ways that felt both foreign and oddly natural. Then reality hit her like a bucket of ice water. "Oh no," she whispered, her voice coming out in that ridiculous Disney princess lilt that made her want to scream. No, this was not happening. Her eyes snapped open, and she immediately wished they hadn't. There was no denying it now. It hadn't been some bizarre dream brought on by a dodgy takeaway. She was still very much Hannah, complete with the kind of curves that belonged on a magazine cover. "Bloody hell," she muttered, sitting up slowly. Her long blonde hair cascaded over her shoulder, like some sort of shampoo commercial, catching the morning light in ways that seemed physically impossible. "Even my hair is showing off." She looked down at herself, taking inventory. Tiny hands. Check. Ridiculously perfect figure. Unfortunately, check. Oversized t-shirt that now looked less like comfortable sleepwear and more like something from a boyfriend's wardrobe. Definite check. Then she felt it. The unmistakable sensation of lace against her skin. Her cheeks flushed hot as she lifted the hem of her shirt slightly. "Mom," she squeaked, staring at the delicate, lacy underwear she definitely hadn't been wearing when she passed out. "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." The panties were pale pink and impossibly feminine, exactly the sort of thing she would never have chosen for herself. Which meant my own mother undressed and redressed me. She groaned, letting the shirt drop back down. "This is officially the most mortifying moment of my life. And considering I turned into my best mate's dream girl yesterday, that's saying something." She swung her legs over the side of the bed, trying to ignore how dainty her feet looked against the hardwood floor. Standing up was an adventure in itself. Her center of gravity had shifted dramatically, and her new proportions made everything feel off balance. "Right," she muttered, taking a wobbly step. "Just have to remember? Shoulders back, hips. Doing whatever the hell they want, apparently." She glanced down at her chest. "And you two behave yourselves. I've got enough problems without you bouncing around like you're attempting interpretive dance." Spotting the lavender housecoat on her chair, she grabbed it like a lifeline. "At least it's not pink," she sighed, slipping it on. The soft fabric felt nice against her skin. Too nice. Everything felt too nice. Too natural. Like her body had already accepted this new reality, while her mind was still throwing a tantrum about it. "Don't get comfortable," she warned her reflection in the mirror, then immediately regretted looking. The girl staring back at her was unfairly pretty, even with bedhead and a slightly panicked expression. "This is just temporary? Sort of. Maybe? Oh God." She tied the robe tightly around her waist, trying not to notice how it emphasized curves that had no business being that perfect. The hem hit mid-thigh, which was both too short and somehow exactly right for her new proportions. "Right then," she declared to her empty room, gathering what remained of her dignity. "Time to go downstairs and have a serious conversation with Mom about boundaries and clothes, and why she thought lace was an appropriate choice for this situation." She opened the door, then hesitated. "And maybe," she added quietly, "about why this feels so bloody natural when it should feel weird as hell." Taking another deep breath, which did interesting things to her chest that she steadfastly ignored, she stepped into the hallway. The house smelled of coffee and something sweet baking, Because of course her mother would be acting like this was just another normal morning. If she offers me tea again, Hannah muttered, starting down the stairs with careful steps. I swear I'm going to scream. In perfect soprano apparently, but still. Her new body moved with an innate grace that was both impressive and incredibly annoying. Even her footsteps seemed to have a feminine lilt to them. Show off. She accused her hips, which were apparently determined to sway with every step. This is exactly why Craig couldn't stop staring, you know. The thought of Craig made her stumble slightly, her cheeks flushing again. She grabbed the banister, steadying herself. Nope. Mom, she declared firmly. Not thinking about Craig. Not thinking about how he looked at me. Not thinking about anything, except giving Mom a piece of my mind about this underwear situation. But as she descended the stairs, she couldn't quite shake the memory of Craig's stunned expression, or the way it had made her stomach do backflips. Stupid, perfect body with its stupid, perfect reactions, she grumbled, reaching the bottom of the stairs. This is going to be a very long day. Hannah shuffled into the kitchen like she was entering a dragon's den, except dragons might have been less intimidating than her mother's knowing smirk. Elizabeth sat at the table, radiating smug maternal energy as she sipped her tea and pretended to read. Morning, sunshine, Elizabeth said without looking up. I see you've discovered your new wardrobe additions. Hannah tugged self-consciously at her housecoat. Yes. Let's talk about that, shall we? Particularly the part where my own mother decided to play fairy godmother with my underwear drawer. Would you have preferred to keep wearing your old boxers? I imagine they'd be rather roomy now, Elizabeth replied, finally looking up to give Hannah an appraising once-over. Though I must say, lavender suits you. That's not the point, Hannah squeaked, dropping into a chair. The point is. She waved her hands expressively, which did interesting things to the neckline of her robe. Everything. This whole situation is mental. Tea? Elizabeth offered innocently, pushing a cup toward her daughter. If you think tea is going to fix this way. No. But it might help you stop flailing around like an angry pixie. Elizabeth's eyes twinkled. Besides, you passed out the last time you refused tea. Let's not make that a habit. Hannah grudgingly took the cup, then immediately regretted it when she noticed her pinky finger automatically extending as she lifted it. Even my fingers are being feminine, without my permission. Your old clothes wouldn't have helped with that, Elizabeth pointed out. Though I must say, I outdid myself with the wardrobe spell. Wait until you see the dresses wind. Dresses, Hannah nearly choked on her tea. Mom, I can barely handle walking in this body, let alone prancing around in dresses. You seemed to handle prancing just fine when you were running from Craig yesterday, Elizabeth observed. Speaking of Craig, we are not talking about Craig. Hannah's voice hit a note that made the china rattle. No? No? Elizabeth raised an eyebrow. So we're not discussing how you turned into his perfect woman, or how you felt when he looked at you, or why you're blushing just thinking about it. I'm not. That's not. It's just hot in here, Hannah protested, though her burning cheeks betrayed her. Elizabeth took another sip of tea. And I suppose your heart isn't racing right now, just thinking about him? Hannah pressed her hands to her cheeks, horrified to find them warm. This isn't fair. Everything's all tingly and weird and attracted? Elizabeth supplied helpfully. Mom pie. What? I'm just pointing out the obvious. The spell was meant to create Craig's perfect woman, and instead it turned you into her. That's not exactly subtle magic, dear. Hannah slumped forward, banging her head on the table. This is horrible. Is it? Elizabeth asked mildly. Because from where I'm sitting, It looks like magic finally got tired of watching you two dance around each other and decided to take matters into its own hands. Hannah's head shot up. What's that supposed to mean? It means, darling, that maybe there's a reason you turned into exactly what Craig's heart most desires. Elizabeth's eyes sparkled with mischief. Though I must say I didn't expect his type to be quite so petite. Din. Oh God. Hannah groaned, dropping her head back to the table. This isn't happening. I'm not having this conversation. I'm not thinking about Craig's type, or why I'm suddenly it, or why my stomach does backflips when he looks at me. Backflips, you say? Elizabeth's voice was entirely too amused. Shut up. Hannah muttered into the table. Just shut up and let me die of embarrassment in peace. Drama queen. Elizabeth chuckled. You get that from your father's side, you know. Speaking of which, wait until he sees you. He always wanted a daughter. Hannah's head snapped up so fast, she nearly gave herself whiplash. Dad. Oh God, how am I going to explain this to Dad? Well, Elizabeth said thoughtfully, we could start with remember how you always said Handel spent too much time pining after Craig, and work our way up from there. I did not pine. No? No? So all those times you moped around the house after his dates were just… What? Allergies? Hannah opened her mouth to protest, then closed it again. Her new body seemed determined to betray her, her cheeks flushing pink and her heart racing at just the thought of Craig. I hate everything, she declared finally. No, you don't, Elizabeth replied cheerfully. You're just confused because your body is finally being honest about feelings your mind has been avoiding for years. That's not, Hannah stammered. But the words died in her throat as memories of yesterday flooded back. The way Craig had looked at her, the electricity that had shot through her when their eyes met, the warmth that had pooled in her stomach. Oh no, she whispered, realization dawning. Oh no, no, no. Elizabeth just smiled and pushed the teacup closer. Drink your tea, dear. Trust me, you're going to need it for what comes next. What comes next? Hannah asked warily. Well, Elizabeth's eyes twinkled with unholy glee. Someone's going to have to explain to Craig why his best friend turned into his dream girl. Any volunteers? Hannah's only response was to groan and bang her head on the table again. Hannah sprawled across her bed, trying to process the cosmic joke her life had become. Her mother's words bounced around her skull like a particularly annoying ping-pong ball. Do you feel a pull toward Craig? Pull? She muttered to the ceiling. More like a bloody tractor beam. She rolled over, burying her face in her pillow. And since when do I use words like tractor beam? Has this body turned me into a complete dork? The memory of Craig's face from last night floated unbidden into her mind. Those blue eyes wide with shock, his jaw practically on the floor. The subsequent wave of warmth that flooded her body made her squeak into her pillow. Stop that, she hissed at her traitorous body. We do not get butterflies thinking about Craig. We especially do not get other feelings. But her body seemed to have other ideas, sending tingles to places that made her cross her legs tightly. Her mother's breakfast commentary hadn't helped. It's perfectly natural, dear. When a woman sees her man. He's not my man, Hannah had spluttered, nearly choking on her tea. No? Elizabeth had raised that infuriating knowing eyebrow. Then why did you turn into exactly what his heart desires? Because the universe has a terrible sense of humor. Now, alone in her room, Hannah couldn't keep denying the obvious. Every time she thought about Craig, her new body lit up like a Christmas tree. Traitor. Die. She accused her racing heart. Her phone pinged, making her jump so hard she nearly fell off the bed. Please don't be Craig. Please don't be Craig. Please don't be, oh, bloody hell. It's Craig. The messages popped up one after another. Craig. Hey, are you okay? Craig. I've been thinking about last night. Craig. Was I dreaming? Did I imagine all that? Craig. Seriously, Handel. If this is some kind of prank, it's not funny. Craig. Please tell me you're okay. Well, depends on your definition of okay. Hannah muttered, reading the messages. If by okay you mean turned into your perfect woman, and now getting hot and bothered every time I think about you, then yeah. I'm just peachy. She stared at the screen, trying to ignore how her heart fluttered at his obvious concern. Get it together, she told herself firmly. You're still you. Just prettier and bouncier. And apparently incredibly horny. No, bad Hannah, bad thoughts. With trembling fingers, she typed out a response. Hannah, hey, Craig. I'm okay. But we need to talk. I'll be over soon. There. Oh, she said, hitting send. Short, simple, and totally not revealing that I'm having inappropriate thoughts about my best friend. Nailed it. Nailed it. The reality of what she'd just committed to hit her like a bucket of cold water. Oh God, I have to see him. In person. Looking like this. Feeling like this. She glanced down at her body. Right. Time to raid the wardrobe of doom. Opening her closet, she was assaulted by an explosion of feminine clothing. Really, Mum? Really? She groaned, pushing aside a particularly frilly dress. Was the pink necessary? And what even is this? She held up something that looked more like dental floss than underwear. That's not happening. Ever. Fine. After what felt like hours but was probably 5 minutes of panicked rifling, she settled on yoga tights, a tank top, and an oversized hoodie. Right, she muttered, pulling them on. Casual. Normal. Dalk? Totally not trying to hide the fact that I'm suddenly curvy in places that make Craig stare. The yoga tights hugged every curve she was trying to hide. Betrayed by my own wardrobe. She sighed, tugging the hoodie down as far as it would go. At least it's not a dress. Small mercies. She tied her hair back, steadfastly ignoring how silky it felt between her fingers. Stop being perfect, she told her reflection. You're making this weird. Her phone pinged again. What? Craig, really? You're coming over? Now? Craig, I mean, great, but you're still, you know. Craig, the same as last night? Craig, not that there's anything wrong with that. Craig, I mean, you looked amazing. I mean, different. You looked different. Oh, God. Hannah groaned, watching the messages appear in rapid succession. He's panicking. Why is that adorable? This isn't fair. Hannah? Yes, still the same. Try not to faint this time. There. She muttered, grabbing her keys. Casual. Friendly. Friend. Totally not affected by how cute he is when he's flustered. Her phone pinged one last time. Craig, no promises. You're kind of stunning. Hannah walked straight into her doorframe. Right. She wheezed, rubbing her forehead. This is going to go great. Totally great. Just going to explain to my best friend why I turned into his dream girl without mentioning the fact that my body goes haywire every time he looks at me. No problem at all. She headed for the stairs, muttering under her breath, I'm so screwed. Possibly literally if these hormones have anything to say about it. No, bad Hannah, bad thoughts. Her mother's voice floated up from the kitchen. Have fun explaining everything to Craig, dear. Try not to jump him immediately.